Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined today by Katie Bishop, Earth Bishop, LLC. All right. She's the founder of Earth Bishop, a natural healing practice. Katie is also alchemist, author, instructor of sacred mysteries and initiations. And most recently, she published the book, Remember Your Torch, which details her firsthand encounters with the supernatural and hidden truths that shape our reality. Most interestingly, Katie is a walk-in soul and contactee with the mission of reigniting humanity's remembrance of our eternal spirit and celestial origins. Through her teachings and her book, Katie discloses esoteric knowledge and guidance for soul transcendence, healing planetary inversions, and resurrecting the feminine principle through the wisdom of the heart. So Katie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Michael and Tracy Joe. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to this. Wow, your information is incredible. I was just reading your book and it was like, oh, I got to do a show. So your book is fantastic. Remember Your Torch, Encounters with the Supernatural and Hidden Truths that Shape Our Reality. I know you we were talking before the show, you had misgivings about sharing this information, as many of us do, because people are going to think that we're crazy and so forth. But, these experiences that we have shape us to the point where we can start to connect with these higher frequencies and so forth, which you have done on an amazing level.
Yeah, absolutely. This information needs to come out, and some of it is somewhat disturbing. Okay. I'm just going to be completely open and honest about it. The intention is not to scare people. It's to empower people with the information and the knowledge and the truth so that we can face it head on and that we can come up with solutions. Because right now, a lot of people are unaware of all of the level of manipulation that's going on. On the same side, there's so many great things happening. So it really is this polarity war that we're trudging through. And I'm happy to kind of walk through my story a little bit to give everyone some background and highlight some of the key pieces that I think will be most helpful and relevant to people. And Michael, if you want to just stop me and ask questions as I go along, please do so.
Yeah, that's great. So what I love about your initial pretty much most part of the book is that people can see you're real. You've had extreme difficulties, which many of us have. So I think a lot of people will relate to that. So yeah, jump in. Let's reveal.
Okay, great. I think the best place to start is explaining the walk-in experience, because that kind of sets the foundation for everything else that comes along and all of the information that I'm bringing forward. So there's a lot of confusion about what a walk-in soul means. So I want to clarify that just up front. Essentially, a walk-in is a soul transference. There's a soul in a body, it exits, and another soul comes in. So this is not the same thing as possession or demonization, where the soul is still within the body, but there's like an attachment working through it. Okay, so a walk-in is different, and there's many different iterations of soul transference and how that happens. I'm only going to talk about my experience, and I'm not going to get into all the other different variations. And there can be negative walk-in situations. Not every single walk-in is a benevolent being. There can be malevolent beings that walk in. So I just want to be clear about that as well. And I grew up Catholic, so I didn't really necessarily grow up in this esoteric, spiritual, supernatural world whatsoever. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up Catholic, and it wasn't until I was in my early 30s in 2011 when I started going through a spiritual awakening myself. I went through therapy, and I was trying to heal some of my own childhood traumas, and I encountered the dark night of the soul. And through that dark night of the soul experience, I had a moment where I felt like I was dying inside. And in that moment is when I had the walk-in experience happen. I saw a being of light come through. He told me I was brave. He touched my heart space, and whoosh, that was the walk-in experience for me. And the best way for me to explain it, because it's a multidimensional experience, think of the Wizard of Oz, and when Dorothy is in black and white, and then all of a sudden she takes a step into Oz and everything all of a sudden is in full color, and it's like a completely different world. That's exactly how it felt, because when I walked in, I had all my clairs activated. I had all my chakras activated. So it was an extremely intense experience. And what's interesting about the way I walked in is I came in alignment, meaning I didn't have a near-death experience. For most walk-ins, they experience a car accident or something that knocks them out, because the body really needs to almost be in a catatonic state for this soul transference to happen. And the way it happened for me, I was aware and I was conscious, and I didn't miss a beat because I didn't have any downtime in recovery. So in some ways, I kind of liken it to being airdropped, and you hit the ground running, and you've got your gear and your supplies, and you're ready to get your mission, and you don't miss a beat. So that's what it felt like. It felt like walking in, and all of a sudden I knew I had my piece of the puzzle. I knew what the information that I'm supposed to bring forward, and I got to work right away. One of the things that's interesting about this time frame when I walked in 2011 is that it was a strategy, okay? Because it's important to understand that in 2012 there was a timeline convergence.
Yeah.
So I was coming in at a specific time to help with this positive timeline shift. And I didn't come in alone. I came in with a fleet of walk-ins. And that was part of the mission, is that we were going to flip the game. We were going to flip and raise the frequency during this timeline convergence to get our collective consciousness on the higher timeline path. I'm always using the multidimensional chessboard as an analogy for our reality that we're experiencing. It just works the best. So I call this fleet of walk-ins in 2011, 2012, I call it an intermezzo. And in chess, that means an intermezzo is a move that you make that the adversary doesn't see coming, and it completely changes the trajectory of the game. So that's kind of how I explain that walk-in experience. And it wasn't only...
I love that the connection too, because Bishop, as you state on your website, which is earthbishop.com, you say it's a noun: guardian, overseer, protector. And then you have the chess pieces, and it's like, oh, Bishop, chess pieces. Wow, and you talk about 3D, 4D, 5D. Oh my God, wow, very cool, very cool. What nice tie-in.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was writing the book, one of the challenges was figuring out how to explain and articulate everything on a multidimensional level, especially with people like you who are very awake and aware, and your consciousness isn't localized. So you're able to tap into where other dimensions and other densities that you're active in. And, doing this, writing this book this way, I had to write every chapter in 3 parts. So there's the 3D part, which tells you what's going on in the 3D plane. And then there's the walk-in perspective on each chapter, where I'm talking about what's happening from a higher perspective. And then I do key insights, and key meaning KI, like the earth. What does this insight mean for our collective consciousness? What does this mean for the reader? How can they use the information that I'm sharing in their own life? So that's kind of how I had to lay it out. It's the best way to describe the experiences.
Yeah, and I love your website. Your website has tons of information in and of itself, and then you're talking about your classes that you have, and it's like, oh boy, those classes are a huge reveal of information. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Which really leads them perfectly to what happened next, because I'm talking about walking in 2011, 2012. Well, where have you been for all this time? I got completely taken out. I got completely targeted. I got wiped off the grid. I was I had everything. I lost everything in my life.
Yeah.
And they do not want this information coming out, and that is because part of the mission, it are the courses I'm teaching. It is the information that I'm revealing. This is the piece
I'm
that
going to assume I didn't read it in your book yet, but I'm going, because I skimmed through a lot of your book. I just got it recently, but what a fantastic book. But you did they know that you're going to be bringing in this information? Oh yeah, that's why they target you. Oh yeah, I know. Wow, did they target you? Oh my God, it's amazing you survived all that. Oh
yeah. You know, they know, because we're in this containment system, you know, they know who everyone is. They can identify us by our frequency and everything. So walking in later in life was part of the strategy as well, because, you know, a lot of bright souls that incarnate as children get targeted. So, you know, coming in later and bringing this at the last minute, trying to flip the frequency and bring this information right at the time at the end of the cycle was really important. And that was a key strategy as well. One of the things I reveal a lot in the book is the impact that the artificial and synthetic telepathy has on us and on our society. It's to such an extreme level that I don't think people understand the level of manipulation that is occurring with it, and the remote frequency technologies that exist. And they don't want you to know this information, so much so that I went ahead and put pages in the back with the technology and each patent number. Because what happens is, if you try to look up these remote frequency technologies, they won't show up in a search. You have to know the exact patent number. So I put all the exact patent numbers in here, and then a link to the actual website, so you can see them for yourself. And again, this is disturbing information, but this includes everything from voice to skull to subliminal messaging, all kinds of things, dream manipulation. So this is really important for everyone to understand and have a grasp of.
Yeah, the mind control, technology they have out there, and then of course the drugs that you were subjected to, and then they once you get in that system, boy, is it hard to get out. Oh my God, what a challenge.
The system is so corrupt, and again, I was heavily targeted. And I did make the mistake of signing away to do an evaluation. And once they've got you to the extent, at one point, I was at home folding laundry. 3 police officers come to my door, put me in handcuffs with a judge order saying that I'm mentally unsafe. No reason why. They throw me in the back of a cop car. They drive me to a facility. They put a number 666 on me, and they're trying to invoke darkness in me. This is all part of, this satanic underworld that really is kind of operating in the background of everything. That happened in real life. All these experiences that I share in my book, this isn't something where I went into hypnosis and remembered a past life memory or something. Everything happened in the 3D and the physical. And then some of the experiences I was having that were multidimensional, because I was being attacked on another plane, that was coming through simultaneously. And I was having fainting spells, and I was being pulled in and out of consciousness momentarily, because things I was so heavily attacked, and the group I was with was heavily attacked as well. And it really took until 2021 for me to fully recover and get all my soul pieces back, because soul harvesting was actually a part of what I experienced. That is a real technology. Again, very dark, but it does exist.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the CIA technology and all that. That was very interesting. Now, sounds like I've talked to several people like yourself that are highly tapped in, and there's almost like someone gets assigned to you, and it seems like your husband was somebody that really was a problem.
Yeah. I really don't want to talk about him or any of the other people in my life. A lot of what's happening that people don't understand is they don't even know how controlled they are.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And I talk about this when I discuss unconscious recon, because a lot of us are doing recon, but we're not aware of it, and we're not able to really, it's not safe for us to be aware of it because of the level of synthetic telepathy that's going on. The dark side will know what you're doing. Well, it works on the dark side too. They have players that are doing unconscious recon for them. So that happens. And
that's an excellent way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I lost everyone. I lost all my friends, all my family. I even went at one point to the homeless shelter where I used to volunteer at, and they turned me away. When I tell you I hit a rock bottom, I hit the rock bottom. Now on a very high level, we can look at these experiences as descent initiation.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the strength of the spirit and the soul. And can you descend into a reality where everything is upside down and inverted and run by a dark satanic cult and lose everything in your life and still find your way back to your heart, to your soul, so much so that you're able to turn around and help others?
Yeah. Very good. So I remember one passage in your book where you were talking about they were trying to, even the players within the system that you're in, they were controlled, like you're talking about. I was like, whoa. It's like all these people are actors for this huge control system. And so you're outlining all this and you're aware of it. And you're saying you can't do this to me because I'm in this love field, this love vibrational field, and you're never going to have access to me. And they were like, they just got so frustrated. I've had that too. That is so powerful. Wow. I got to go back and outline that. I don't know what the exact verbiage you had. I was like, wow, that's magnificent.
Yeah. What they were really trying to do, I would get put in these facilities, and they would throw me into like a small interrogation room, and they wanted to know about the contact I was having. So I was having contact, and I had seen ships, and I had memory of the mission I was on, and they wanted all of this, and they were trying to pull it out of me. And it was like an extraction, and I refused. And what they were using, they had access to what is like a Neurolink chip. So they could see the first layer of the mind transference telepathy, because telepathy happens in layers, and there's all different kinds of telepathy from, you've got your instinctual, and then you've got mind transference, and then you've got soul to soul, which happens through the heart. And with the mind telepathy, they can access the first layer of what's in front of your conscious awareness really easily. Wow. That's so easy for them to grab. So I was using that against them and blowing them up in my mind a few times, making them really uncomfortable. And they would flip tables. They would get so frustrated with me, or I would just, in my mind, visualize them as angels or heaven, or, babies and puppy dogs. And they would go crazy because they could not access what they were trying to get from me. And they wanted fear. They wanted me to live in fear, and they wanted me to be ashamed and humiliated of what I went through so that I wouldn't come forward. And so I did the opposite, and I wrote a book about it, and I'm sharing it with everyone because I know I'm not the only one that has been through some of these situations. And to some degree or another, I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Huge. And your website and all the stuff you have on there is going to be, people are going to be like super attracted to that. So I remember the one where you're talking about where they came and handcuffed you, where you left the facility. You're like, I'm done. I'm just going to walk away. And so you walked home, and they came and picked you up because they called in and said that you were a threat, where you're not a threat. You're like Katie that we're talking to right now. You're just like, there's nothing. And so they called you a threat. So those 3 officers show up and handcuff you, throw in the back of the car, and drive you back. And then you got to go through all that process again. Wow. So again, the system is heavily aligned against us. So this started happening to me when I started talking about my memories of connection to all these different programs, and wow, that's interesting to see that you went through that same problem, because they do target us when we start to wake up and start to reveal. So tell us a little bit more about when they started. So you went through all this process. You have, I guess, a soul comes in. There was a, you talk about in your book how there was before you incarnate, you have that agreement, so forth. And so there's lots of different ways that souls can come in, like you talked about, accidents and all kind of crazy stuff. But for you, you had an agreement that it would be during this time frame. So let's go from there, where this amazing high vibrational soul comes in after your mind has been punished, and now you're going to a different level.
Yeah. And what's interesting about my walking experience, again, it was consented and agreed upon before the incarnation. Like I said, there was a lot of us coming through at this time. This was a big strategy to shift the frequency of the planet. And that soul part really is I'm part of the same oversoul. So, we all are fractaled on this plane, and then we roll up to an oversoul. And then on that plane, we fractal, and then we roll up to a bigger oversoul, and we're all more and more connected as we go up through the densities. And eventually we all become one, and we're in the unified field. So we're all just versions of oneness, having different experiences. So that soul part was really like a lesser evolved version of me. If you can think of the evolution you go through spiritually over a 20-year period, you're not the same person you were 20 years ago. But imagine having that evolution happen in one moment, and you're a completely different person instantly. That's how it felt like. And that was really challenging, walking into a marriage situation that I knew I needed to get out of immediately, but I didn't have the means to do it. And I had 2 small children, so I was juggling a lot of issues. And then on top of that, then I become a heavily targeted individual. So in that time frame from 2011 to 2021, after I was targeted and left with absolutely nothing, I had to work my way back to getting stabilized. I got a job for $12 an hour doing data entry, and I was able to work really hard and become vice president of the company, get my life stabilized, get things in order. But I was on survival mode, and I know what that feels like. And I think it's been actually a really great experience because I can empathize with people. So much so. And I understand what it's like to be trapped in that matrix system, trapped in that fight or flight, going from barely making ends meet, paycheck to paycheck. You can't calm down the nervous system. It becomes your default method of operation, that constant living in fear. So I understand that. And it wasn't until 2021 when I had my soul, I call my soul family, my star family came back so that we could finish this mission that we started. And that's when I got my soul parts back that had been harvested through these targeted situations that I was in. And then I started my healing practice, and I really started getting out there with the courses. And I was really excited to come forward publicly. I was going to have a show on, it was called Conscious Vitality. And I had worked with the producer, and I had lined up all the shows. And I started to get really nervous because of everything that happened to me last time. And I was worried about being targeted again. And I was got really scared. And in one of my contact experiences, I was told to wait. I was told that there was going to be a lot of false light coming through, like a galactic circus, like a galactic parade. And it's going to be a spectacle, and it's going to be false light. And to just wait until that dissolves itself, until it's exposed, until it falls apart on its own, before coming forward. So I waited to write the book. I had started it, but I put it on the back burner, and it wasn't until last summer I had a contact with, I call him John in the book, and he basically said, okay, it's go time. You need to work on the book. And I was supposed to go to Europe last summer. I was supposed to visit some sacred sites in France. I was going to finish another level of alchemy school, and I ended up canceling my trip completely. And I hunkered down and I got the book ready, and the guidance I was given was to have it ready to go in the fall, and things are going to be in alignment. And so the book just got published last month, and I just had the corresponding workbook come out this week. So this interview is perfect timing, because I didn't really want to do any interviews until I had all the pieces ready. But because I've been through so much trauma and I work in healing, I wanted people to have a guidebook, a step-by-step guidebook to use for their own journey. So that's available now too. But that's kind of the progression of how things happened. And I think I just gave you a way too long answer for your question. So sorry.
No, I love that. I love it when I can ask a question and the guest can really go into depth like you just did. So that's a gift. It's a gift for someone that does interviews. So thank you. So you're amazing. I'm just gonna kind of showcase a little bit of your video classes that you have. Sacred Mysteries. This one looks very interesting right here. Sacred Mysteries. Go through that. So false Genesis.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Genesis.
Great. I looked at that. I'm like, man, I'm going to sign up for this stuff. Looks great. Amazing.
Yeah. So with Sacred Mysteries Monthly, it's a class I do every month. And it's my platform that I'm using to bring the information forward that I came in with to share as a walk-in. It also comes from my contact experiences, and then from my own research and from my own trainings, because I did do actual trainings with shamanic wisdom and alchemy school and entity attachment release. And I write about all the trainings that I did in the book as well. But this class coming up next Tuesday, November 18th, is all about false Genesis. And this is like the mother lode of classes, because this particularly is the information that the deep state doesn't want out there. This is the information before the Sumerian tablets. This is the information before the Genesis story in our Bible. This is the information that shares with us, well, what happened? Where did our souls come from before the Enuma Elish? Because the truth of the matter is, all of these creation stories that we have, these are not true creation stories. These are creation stories of the enslavement system. That's what it is. So the question we need to be asking is, when the Anunnaki came and did all of these genetic manipulations to create their slave race, where did those souls come from to animate this Homo sapien race that they created? That is the question to be asking. And where is all the information before the Sumerian tablets? Our planet is ancient. We had civilizations before that. They weren't the first. The dark side doesn't want us to know that. So I go through and I connect the dots of what our planet was before we called it Earth, before it was Ki, and when we were actually attached to a mother planet, Tiamat. That's the energy that they are terrified of. And this relates back to the resurrection of the feminine principle. This is the reinstatement and the transference of power that we're experiencing back to the feminine principle. And I want to talk about that for 1 second, because there's so many distortions and inversions about what that means. The feminine principle is not about feminism. That is a psyop. That is not the feminine principle. And on the other side, the feminine principle is not about vomiting rainbows and roses and unicorns everywhere, right? The feminine principle is more neutral. If anything, it leans to the feminine side, but the feminine principle is about this resurrection of living through wisdom. And it's about balance, and it's about harmony, and it's about using power to empower others. So this is the force that is coming through that can't be stopped, that the deep state wants to stop. This is the force. It's the force of love that a mother has for her child. It's the strongest force in the universe. So all of it ties together into our truth of who we were and where our souls came from before the Anunnaki invasion. It's this, people call it an expedition. I call it an invasion. So I go into all of that in the class.
Wow, good. So the Anunnaki, the Draco reptilians, Anunnaki, what can you tell us? Because I know that on certain levels, if you share too much, the targeting will be so intense that you will not be able to go forward. I know that, right? So tell us what you can.
Sure. And if you watch my videos and you've been in my classes, you'll know that I will just share some blunt truths about the Anunnaki and this dynasty, this family, this almost like conglomerate. It's like an empire that is taking over the solar system and is really controlled by the Orion group. And there's multiple different factions, and it's extremely complex. Okay. So I will trash talk, but it's really important to understand that there is a benevolent faction. There is a faction here, a renegade faction that is working against the system, that sees the value of humanity, that loves the value of humanity, and that understands that this feminine principle needs to come back. They're helping facilitate that reinstatement of power. And they're doing it because it is the right thing to do. And it's the end of the ages. And this is real. So there really is a benevolent faction of the Anunnaki. So even though I talk a lot of trash, I will honor that. And that is real. It's all about bringing the truth back. And in my experience with this benevolent faction, it's all about the information that's coming from before they genetically modified us. So
so a lot of these ancient stories in the Bible and so forth are not really telling the entire truth of what happened to us, and you go into some of that, and I think that's very insightful. And we really need to know the truth, and that's what you're sharing with your work.
Yeah, and one of the Bible is really kind of based off of the tablets of the Enuma Elish, and when you read the Enuma Elish, it's very graphic. You are reading how they slice, the mother Tiamat, and these are the people who enslaved humanity, and so they're writing the history. So while they're portraying Tiamat as a monster, they slay the monster to enslave humanity. So we have to keep all of this in context, and what really happened before that, and what was that battle really about? Because when you understand that this is, again, a really complex family dynamics that are trying to control for power, we need to relook at the way we see these texts.
Yeah, interesting. So you talk about in your last one, I see you're talking about Yeshua's mission. But that's very insightful. I like that. So we've had like the Buddha and Yeshua. We've had some amazing people that have come through. I would say you're in that category. I'm not putting you on a pedestal with Yeshua or Buddha, but you are bringing in the information like they did. And you have a group that's working with you. And it's very interesting. This group, you talk a little bit about them, and I'm like, whoa, this is but you have to reach a certain level of consciousness, and to be able to maintain that consciousness so that they can communicate with you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, one of the things I want to address as being a contactee, in the information that I bring forward, I am bringing it forward as a sovereign. I don't consider myself representing, I don't want to be representing any other group or faction or, federation or any kind of being. I don't have anyone controlling me in that way. While I work with them and this is cooperation, I am not sharing information because some being told me to. I think we are losing so much of our discernment as a collective because we're putting our blind faith in some of these informers or some of these contactees who are being completely manipulated, because it's really important to understand that the dark side and some of these dark beings, they cloak themselves in light, and they might look like a really attractive, nice Nordic being, and they're completely working for the deep state, and they're trying to harvest souls of humanity. So when people are blindly following a contactee and they're saying, well, I believe this, or I'm doing this because so-and-so said so, you really need to run all of that through your own discernment filter. And that's what I do. Because I've had experiences with both light and dark beings. So I would never just parrot or regurgitate anything without reflecting on it and discerning on it and making sure that it resonates with my heart. And so I bring my information forward because I'm doing it at my own free will. So I think it's really important to distinguish that. And talking about Yeshua's mission is one of my favorite things because there's so many distortions around that. And we're going to be learning more and more about what that mission was about and what it wasn't, and how it was distorted by the church, and how the feminine was completely erased, completely wiped out, and then completely distorted.
Like Mary Magdalene, they said that she was a whore, and then they said that for almost 2,000 years. And just recently, the Catholic Church comes out and say, "Oh no, we were wrong about that." It's like, what? So, but they still teach it. It's still in the Bible. It's like crazy. Come on. So you have to start to go outside these sources. And I love what you said about the New Age movement. You got to be careful with that, because that's all like flowery and just mind control, CIA type stuff. So you really call it out. Good job.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the New Age deception is really dangerous, because they want you to think everything is love and light, and you can just meditate your way through everything and not have to take action. And that is so far from the truth. You've got to take action. We're in a dual polarity reality, so you're going to have contrast. There is going to be dark and light. Of course, when we all roll up to the unified field, it's not like that, but we're having an experience in the 3D right now. And so we need to be aware of that this experience, these temporal frequency wars, and this battle for the soul, where information and mind control is the weapon. This is really happening. And the distortion and the erasure of the feminine energy is unbelievable throughout history. And again, this is part of the information that I'm bringing back, because I have some information about the Marys and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and who they were and what those emanations roll up to. And, they make Mother Mary this demure virginal character that just got impregnated, and then that's it. And then that's done with Mary. Well, she was a divine birth priestess. She was completely aware of what was going on. She had been preparing for this, bringing this life in, the life of Yeshua. She had to prepare, because the womb is a portal. And they know that. And that's why women are so attacked. And there's so much to talk about the womb chakra and healing energy that comes from the womb. But, she knew what was happening. She was an active participant, and she was known as the greatest teacher to Yeshua, who got a lot of his teachings from India. So there is so much to uncover here. And we're barely scratching the surface. I go into these in great detail in my Sacred Mysteries class. I really get into specifics about everything, but it's undoing all of these lies. And we have to start thinking differently. We almost have to like go a blank slate and say, okay, I need to relook at everything with fresh eyes.
Nice. Now, when you sign up for the monthly, the $35, do you get access to the other ones, or do you have to purchase them separately?
Yeah, no, you get access to the other ones.
Wow.
You'll be caught up. And then if you don't want to do the monthly, you just buy each one separately.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do in each class, I design this very specifically with a really specific intent for Sacred Mysteries Monthly, because one of the things we need to be doing more as a collective is understanding how to have energetic hygiene and how to be more engaged with our manifestations and our creations. So each class is set up that I'll do a lecture for an hour and I'll share the information, and then we'll do a Q&A and this discussion. And it's an amazing community of people. The group is so wide awake, and the questions are brilliant, and the interactions and the support we give each other. And then we take a quick break, and then we go into new moon intention settings. Now, I know the moon, I know the manipulation, but it's part of our reality. So we have to work with the energies. And when we're in a new moon time frame, that is the best time to be setting intentions and to think clearly. So I walk people through a little 4-step process to set intentions for this next phase. And then we go into an energy healing and clearing process. And I'll teach a new technique every single class for you to learn how to clear yourself. And we walk through that together. So then you have a time set every month when you're going to get your soul nourished, you're going to get intention set and a direction and a focus for the month, and you're going to have your auric field cleared, and you're going to know how to do it yourself. So you're getting a tool that you can take with you. So that's how I design the classes and set them up.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So that's a great value beyond belief. So I love you look through these titles: the gods of immortality, occulted goddesses and their importance, esoteric goddess powers, weaknesses, and then esoteric death and resurrection teachings of ancient cultures. Just mystery school. I'm like, wow, I want to listen to all of this. So it's incredible. So now, when this information comes through you from your guides and so forth, do you have to go into any state of consciousness, or there's like, it's just time for you to be uploaded with new information? How does it work for you?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because it happens all different kinds of ways. And when it's physical contact, I don't initiate that. I really don't initiate the contact. I'll get like an inkling that it's going to happen, but I won't really know until the moment. But the other information, I walked in with some of it. So again, that was like kind of hitting the ground running, and I was allowed to carry this information with me. It's important to understand that when we incarnate, we get amnesia. But for those of us that are on this specific mission, we had to get certain permissions. There's like a council. It's almost like a court in heaven of what you're allowed to come in with because of free will and interference. And one of the reasons why I was allowed to come in with the information that I came in with is because it's been erased. People can't find it unless someone walks in with it, or those of us who are having contact are getting it from the contacts. So I've had different experiences with getting the information, and the most important part.
So that kind of that's beautiful. That's that stealth work you were talking about. I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really came in with it. They couldn't suppress it. Now here it is. Boom. Wow.
Right.
Cool.
They tried really hard to suppress it.
Oh yeah.
But here we are. So it's a multitude. And one of the things, I'm having a human experience here too, and I'm embracing this experience. And so I'm learning how to, go beyond the 5 senses as well. And when I have a question or I'm trying to pull up information, I'll go through my own process of getting it on my own. that's the journey. That's what we all are here to learn. So I try to figure things out on my own, and I'll get into a quiet space and I'll say, okay, this is the piece of information I'm missing. I'm going to put an intent on it. And then I let it go. And then what happens is it will come through, usually within like the next 48 hours, as long as you're living in the present moment and you're not, again, going into the chitter chatter of the mind, but you're really embodied and you're focused on the present moment. A sign will come to you and it will just, you'll know it. You'll be like, that's the piece. Or it'll be like a song lyric, or it will be, you'll be watching a YouTube video and someone will say the answer that you're looking for, or it will come from a friend. It will come to you in an organic way in the 3D. It's not that the heavens are going to part and an angel's going to come down and bring it. We have to be present in 3D to receive all of these messages that are really coming through to us all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife, Tracy, was in the chat. She's like, I get it when I'm cooking, when I'm listening to music. So the same thing. So a lot of us will have these, incredible, intense, visions and so forth. And sometimes it's just a little, oh, now I know that. And for you, when you came in, it's like you knew that a lot of this stuff because you've been through the trauma, and then your walk-in comes in and brings information that, we just can't, most of us just can't come in with. So that's pretty interesting how that process worked for you. And what else would you like to share?
Well, all of this information really resides within all of us. We're all walking libraries. The Earth is a library. Every planet has its own, houses its own library of information, has its own consciousness. Our Earth has its own consciousness. Like when I do Akashic Records readings, I'm essentially reading the library of someone's soul and all the experiences that they've had. And, this soul that we take with us from lifetime to lifetime, it goes into different carnations in different star systems. And we carry that with us always. So all of the information really is internal. This is always, I've always said, ascension is an ascension. It's an internal process. It's not necessarily about going up higher. It's going in deeper within yourself and really knowing yourself, and to thy own self be true. That's where all the magic is really bringing up all of the subconscious and all of the shadow and bringing them to light. That's how you really get to know yourself. That's really uncomfortable work to do. And again, that's part of the new age deception that there's no darkness and you don't have any of that. Well, we all do. I mean, that's where enlightenment and evolvement comes from. It comes from the learning through the shadow and learning from the mistakes that we made. So all of this information that I have, everyone has access to it. I'm just here to kind of be a guide and help show how I've used it, and people can take it or leave it. They can take all my information, and if it doesn't resonate with them, fine. That there's nothing forced. This is all free will. So I'm just glad that I finally got to a point in my life and things have aligned in such a way that I can finally come forward now and bring this truth, because I know it's helping a lot of people, and it's really helped spark, bring back that spark of life so that people don't feel like they're just existing anymore and they're on this treadmill, but they're engaged, and they're engaged with their humanity, and they're embracing the human experience. And that's what it's all about. And, there's a huge new age deception with this whole galactic circus too, because they want you to spend all your time and they want you to be distracted with, go learn about a planet on the other side of the galaxy that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's going on right now. So the goal is, as a contactee, I will say it is not about them. The real disclosure is about us and what we're able to bring to the table. And the real disclosure is about the construct of the reality more than anything. Because when you understand the construct of the reality, then everything else falls into place, and you're not just mindlessly wandering and being manipulated and thrown around the chessboard. You become a player, and you're making the moves, and you're making things happen in your life. And that's why I have a whole masterclass just on mastering your universe, which is all about the fundamentals of Hermeticism and understanding how to apply these things in your life. So the experience here is it's about being human, and what the guides and the galactics want us to do is embrace that, They want us to come forward and bring the disclosure. They want us to unite in our humanity, not in a Pleiadian lifetime. They want us to embrace our life now, who we are now in this body. That's what they're looking for us to do.
Yep, fascinating. So what do you think, near term, long term, what's in store for Earth and humanity?
Well, these are really exciting times. They're going to be really chaotic, okay? Because we're going through this big transition, this big shift, and it's a creation process. And in the creation process, there's always chaos. Think of an artist. You might see them and it might look like their painting might look like a mess in the beginning, but oh my gosh, it becomes a masterpiece. So we are a masterpiece in the works right now. Our planet is a work of art. We are a work of art. And we need to take away all of these distractions and focus on being the best versions of ourselves as Terrans. That is really the goal. It's about loving being a Terran and loving our planet. And Earth is ascended. She is going with or without us because, believe it or not, while we need the Earth to live, she actually doesn't need us to live. We are invited. We are welcome to come with her. But those who cannot hold the frequency, or those who cannot face their own shadows and conquer their own demons, they're going to have to go and do another school to get to that point. So there is going to be a split, and this is, I know it's upsetting for some people to think, oh, well, not everyone's going to make it. The soul is eternal and we're fractal, and, this is a temporary experience. So don't get so caught up in the materialism and the physicality, because we're meant to evolve. And that's what this whole process is about. So it is going to be chaotic because there's a transference of power, and the deep state is not only are they going to do everything that they can, they're going to do everything that they can to destroy everything on their way out. Even though they know they're gone and they're wiped out, they're going to be jerks about it, and they're just going to destroy just for the sake of destroying. So we have to expect that, and we have to not let it get us down.
Yeah, it seems like they've done that in the past. We've had some dramatic things that happened to Earth, the flood story and so forth. We can see that Earth at certain times was far more technologically advanced than it is right now. So has it been these people that have destroyed the Earth and have come back, or is this a different time where the consciousness and so forth is going with the Earth, and there's going to be a split? I've heard this from a lot of people. And what are your thoughts? Is there a split where some people are going to go with the 3D Earth or whatever, and then there's going to be another type of Earth?
Well, this structure that we're experiencing now is going to collapse on itself. There's not going to be any more consciousness left in it. So no one's going to be here. This is actually a false matrix system. There's a first original matrix system. Matrix, believe it or not, is in the Bible, and it means womb. And this was the original mother construct, which was designed as a holographic interface for our souls to evolve and to have experiences in physicality. Now, what happened was when that was taken over by these parasitic groups that invaded, they flipped and reversed everything, and they created a false matrix system. And that's what we're experiencing now. And that's what we're liberating the souls from, so that they can go on to their next stage of evolution and not be recycled back in. So this system, this reality that we're experiencing now, is going to collapse in on itself, and there won't be any more false matrix system. What will happen is the souls that didn't evolve enough to be on the 5D Tara, that earth plane, that new earth plane, they're going to go to another 3D matrix system that is not an inversion. Now, a lot of what we have here too are NPCs. They're designed to be part of the construct, so they don't leave the construct. They're going to collapse with it. They're not multidimensional beings. They don't have souls, so they don't have a next stage of evolution. So there's multiple things going on at the same time here. Now, for your audience, I feel safe saying everyone's going to be going to 5D. If you're watching this and this resonates, you get it. And don't feel like you're responsible for saving everyone. I see so many people that are plagued and brought down with savior complex. You know, the best, if you really want to help people, be the best version of yourself and lead by example. Be that shining lighthouse, be stable within yourself, and let people come to you when they're ready. And you live with integrity, you live your life as the best version of yourself, and you will be helping people, and your frequency will be helping people, and people will notice you. They're not going to say it, but they're going to learn just by your actions. So that really is the best way to help people, instead of getting dropped down into the programming of that savior complex.
Wow. Some amazing insights and knowledge that's been shared. I love it. So yeah, your website again, earthbishop.com. You got a great book, Remember Your Torch. Tell us real quick about the torch. I love the way you describe the torch.
Yeah. The torch is, you know, the fire element, this element of life. It represents our life force energy that comes through our soul. And this life force energy we carry from lifetime to lifetime. It can't be put out. It's the light that is filled with joy. It's the light that gives us the ability to create. And for me, I see it as the light of sacred wisdom. And to me, the torch, in a lot of my experiences, it's been like the passing of the torch, the passing of the wisdom. And we are all here. We are all going to be ancestors some days ourselves. So we need to practice embodying that wisdom so that we can one day pass this torch down. So that's what it means to me. And yeah, I have the book is Remember Your Torch. The workbook is Reignite Your Flame. So this is the step-by-step guide for self-healing. This is designed to save you a ton of time and money in therapy. And then there's a Remember Who You Are journal, because the journaling is a really big piece of it. And you write your own story in here. You know, this is your journey, and what are you leaving? What is your lifetime? What has that meant to you? And what has that been? So, you can get all three of these things on my website directly, which is the cheapest way to get them, or they're on Amazon as well. And you can go to my website and have all different healing sessions that I do as well. Yeah,
I'm looking through that Akashic record readings, energy healing, amazing, all this stuff. And I love what you just said. You can spend a lot of money on therapy, or you can get your books. So
yeah.
Heal yourself.
There's you can do on your own. So try to go as far as you can on your own. Save yourself time, save yourself money. And I have an online workshop coming up at the end of the month as well, because one of the things I see so often in my healing practice is that people get stuck in loops, whether it be a mind loop or a thought pattern or behavioral pattern. So the workshop is designed to help get rid of blockages, whether they be physical, emotional, spiritual, tapping into your intuition, or mental. So that's coming up as well if you're interested in that.
Very good. Well, Katie Bishop, we've been blessed with your insights and knowledge. Thank you so much for coming in. Love to have you back on. Talk a little bit deeper at some point. Maybe do some courses with you and get some more experience, and then we can have some deeper conversations. It'd be great. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. Yeah, thanks a lot. I guess we were the first show. We had all your books and courses together. That's beautiful. Thanks for. This was like the kickoff virtual book tour. So thank you. This means a lot to me. We love that. Yeah, that's great. We love to be. The bringer of great information. You just brought it. So thanks so much. All right. Thank you, Michael.